It's puck time, everybody. It's hockey talk. It's my favorite show. It's my favorite sport. And I've got a couple of my favorite guests. The legend himself, Dave Cokin, with us as he is every Thursday. And of course, the bald man, Carmine Bianco, probably the best NHL handicapper I've ever seen in my life on a regular basis. With that said, Dave is pretty damn good himself. Just doesn't play as many plays as Carm. Let's bring them in. Let's get the show on the road. Before we get into the introductions, I'm on my phone. We're going to talk 4 games today in detail. The Flyers game, the Islanders, the Avalanche, and the Jets game. And then we're going to take a look at all the other games real quick in our last minute of play. Hey, I hear we should never underestimate an old man. How are you, Dave?
Okay. Pretty good right now in the NHL, by the way. I had a stretch where everything that went to overtime was losing. I think I went, it was like over a 2.5-week span. I had 10 games that went to overtime, and I lost 9 of them. And, you know, it's going to happen sometimes. But that ship has been righted and got a good run going right now in hockey. Picked up a split last night on 2 dogs. Had 2 plays on Tuesday that both won. Had a play on Sunday that won. It's rolling in the again.
Dave, you know, when I said never underestimate an old man, I'm talking about your shirt. I don't know if you remember even wearing that shirt.
No, I don't know. I got so many hoodies. I don't know which one I put on.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I thought that was going to go down. Carmine, brother, thanks for joining us, man. You've got a 5% play tonight in NHL, and everybody, Buster and Carmine both have 5% plays tonight. They're not against each other. They're not on the same play, so buy them both. You can get one of their plays, regular price $40. What I've done is I have taken $25 off of each of their plays. So you can actually head over to wagertalk.com and get both of their plays for $30. Each one is $15. Use the promo code BUSTER15 and preferably CARM15. That's Buster15 and CARM15, 5% plays for each of them. And Carm, you don't have a lot of these 5% plays.
No, it's just one of those things. I just kind of like to motor along, and every once in a while, if I like one much more than any of the others, and the numbers seem to, number of situations seem to kind of line up, then I'll put it up as a 5. It's just the way it is. No sense in forcing them. If you're winning, guys are going to buy. At the bottom line is, if you're winning, guys are going to buy your regular plays, and that's how it goes. But a couple quick thoughts. What Dave said, those overtime games are just unbelievable. It's a skills competition. When you go to overtime, it's the only time you can watch a team go 3-0 on the goalie the other way, and you're like, and you're the one who has the goalie who's got to stop these 3. It's unbelievable. I just can't watch overtime because I just figure the worst is going to happen. It's similar to like last night. I had 2 plays. I split out. One was the Oilers on the puck line. The Oilers last night played like a team at the end of the season who was just playing out their season and ready to hit the golf course.
Yeah, they were really flat.
They just look after that first period. Ottawa just completely dominated the second and third periods on a back-to-back, which surprised me. And then the last game, I had the under in the Washington game. And even at 2-0 going to the third period, I still stayed up to watch the game because I said to myself, I still didn't trust what could possibly happen after watching Philadelphia score 5 in the last 10 minutes against the Leafs the night prior. So I stayed up, watched the game, luckily split, and we'll move on to today. There's a ton of very nice games today.
Well, let's get into the first one that we're going to talk about, the Vegas Golden Knights. Dave Cokin, this team has won 4 games in a row. Beat New Jersey, beat the Rangers, shootout, 2 overtime wins, shootout against Arizona, and an overtime goal against Nashville. they've got to be feeling really good about themselves. And, the New York Islanders just came off of a loss, 4-2 loss against Montreal. If you listen to Puck Time on Tuesday, I actually gave out Montreal. I thought it was a really bad spot for the Islanders. I don't know tonight, though, Dave. I think this is a bad spot for Vegas. I'm not going to be on this game. What do you like?
You go back to that first game of this 4-game winning streak, and that was their version of the Music City Miracle. They scored with less than 1 second to play against Nashville.
Yeah, Carmine and I are already shaking our heads.
Well, I had Nashville in the game as well.
So did we.
Yeah, they scored with 0.3 of a second to go, and all Nashville had to do was tie the puck up along the backboard, and they didn't do it. And then they win the game in the shootout. So that was bad for me, but good for the Golden Knights because it really gave them a confidence boost. Then they get the win over Arizona, and now they've gone on the road and picked up a couple of wins. And they've done this with Subban in goal.
Yeah.
Because Fleury was away from the team with his father being sick. Fleury is back. However, he will not play tonight. It will be Subban again. They're a hot team. I don't want to get in their way at this point. The Islanders obviously have been very good, but maybe cooling off a little bit. I think I'd lean Golden Knights here. The team's on a roll. They picked up a player in a trade with Washington who immediately contributed in his first game.
Yep.
Golden Knights. It's not going to make my hard, but I don't like going against teams on hot streaks, and they're on one right now.
Carm, where are you in this one?
Yeah, I have to believe the same thing as well. I kept checking the news this morning because I wanted to see if Fleury would be in the lineup tonight. It would be in goal, but like Subban was the first off the ice, and yesterday they did Vegas did option Sparks back to Chicago. I think.
Yeah, they're like, please take him, please take him, and I'll send you some money.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're sending him back down. On off days, they will option a goalie back because
Fleury is back with the team.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying is, on an off day, they'll option a goalie back and then just recall him the day of the game because it doesn't count against your cap space on the day in which you option him out. So with cap space being so important to teams, or you see that a lot. So, but yeah, it'll. Fleury in the backup role on Sunday. It's going to be an extremely emotional game on Sunday when they play the Rangers back in Vegas because Fleury will be in goal for that game, and you can expect the team to just absolutely rally around him. That's going to be a biggie on Saturday night. But yeah, no, for me, the Islanders unbelievable at home. I think they've only lost one of their last 10. And that was an OT loss to Pittsburgh. They're playing very well at home. But Subban's been great over the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
It's a toughie just because the Islanders aren't scoring much. The fact that they're at home probably helps. But I wouldn't put it past Vegas stealing a win here and heading home with a nice 3-0 trip.
It's interesting with these backup goalies. They come in once a week, they stink, then they play 4 games in a row, and they actually are a hell of a lot better than we all thought. And I mean, it's indicative of how hard it really is to sit around for a week, 10 days before you get into a game. This game is about rhythm and flow, and it goes to show you, there's obviously a big difference between starting goalies and backup goalies, but not as big as everyone would think. It's just these backup goalies just can't stay inside of a hockey game.
That's the thing. Sorry to cut you off there. That's the thing is, and not to harp on what's going on in Toronto, but we were just talking about Sparks and being optioned back. And when Sparks was with Toronto, he was in that backup role for 17 games, and they picked up 17 points. So you need your backup goalie, to pick up some points, especially if you want load management.
Look how valuable it is right now in Pittsburgh because Murray has been a little bit off lately, and Jarry I think he's played 5 of the last 7 or something like that. And he was fantastic last night
Yeah.
against the Blues. He's played very well. And, Pittsburgh has to be feeling great right now about their goaltending situation because Jarry's stepped up, and it actually sets them up, not to get off on a tangent, but the Penguins, they're really short on position players because of all the injuries. They've got, what's his name, DeSmith, Casey DeSmith. He's playing down in Wilkes-Barre. That's a guy who can probably be a backup now in the NHL, and I think he might be a trade possibility because the Penguins probably looking for some position player help. They've got 2 NHL-level goaltenders on the main roster right now. I think DeSmith is a guy who could generate some trade interest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, let's look at this Philadelphia team, Dave. Five in a row for them. Yeah. It's funny because every year in every sport you have these teams where you just win. You like Carmine last year with St. Louis and the New York Islanders just had the pulse of that team. He played on or against one of those teams. It was like 90% chance. Philly is the opposite for me. I have just not been able to really get a handle on this team at all. They just walloped Toronto 6-1. And now they're playing Arizona. And, Arizona's come down to earth a little bit. They've lost 2 of their last 3, but they did beat Columbus. Dave, what are you thinking in this game? Over 5.5, under Philly minus 151 seems like a very, very large number to me.
Well, but look what the Flyers are doing at home. I mean, they're just beating everybody right now, and they've got a young team where the talent has come together at the right time. I mean, they're a hot squad right now. They'll have Brian Elliott in goal tonight, who's been very well spotted. And for the year, they're 7-2-2 with Elliott in goal. So you're not getting a drop off there. The Coyotes, however, are a very good road team. And I've mentioned this many times. They're a better bet on the road than they are at home because they got a home ice advantage that isn't all that true because they're just not a particularly well-supported team at home. But on the road, the Coyotes are dangerous. And they're not a team I want to lay a big price to. So as well as the Flyers are playing, I think the price is a little bit on the steep side. Not enough for me to take Arizona here because I don't really want to go into the Flyers in their current form. But Arizona's such a sound fundamental team. It is, to me, they're a very difficult team to lay a big price against. And their goaltending continues to be really outstanding. Yeah. Kemper and Ranta have been a dynamic combination this year. Coyotes they're a team I like to go with as a dog. And I did the other night, picked up the win against Columbus. I think they were actually a small favorite in that game, but it was a good spot. Tonight, not as good a spot. I'll probably leave this one alone.
Yeah, I mean, Carm, if I were going to bet this game, and lucky for me, I don't have to, I think I'd probably go on the under. Philly held Toronto to 1 goal and also didn't really score much themselves until the third period. And Arizona is such a tight checking team. They really play a swarm style. Both back checking and forward. Oh my God, gone blank. Checking on the offensive side. Forward checking. I've lost my mind here. So I'd lean on the under in this game. What do you like?
Yeah, no, I get it. And to reiterate what Dave was saying, the Coyotes are like 9-3-3 on the road. That's an exceptional road record. And as well as Philly is playing at home, if you look at some of their games when they play teams like in Arizona who check very well, and they played 3 of them recently in the Flames who beat them 3-2, the Islanders who beat them 4-3, and the Washington Capitals who are beating everybody right now, and the Caps beat them 2-1. Arizona sort of fits that mold of a team that doesn't give you much. Lets you play their style of game. I don't want to get caught and become and I'm going to use that phrase that I use every once in a while, a prisoner of the moment, and say that 6-1 Philadelphia win over the Leafs was phenomenal because it was 1-1 with 10 minutes left to go in the third period, and things sort of fell apart, and the second and third and fourth just kind of rolled in. It's not the way that game played out. Up until that point, the Leafs were playing a very good defensive road game, and then tied it up early in the third, and then sort of kind of fell apart after that second goal. I'm not really sure what happened there, but they kind of fell apart. This is too much. $1.45, $1.50 on the Flyers, as well as I understand as well they're playing. It's too much to lay. I would either take it's the dog or pass for me here. I can't lay that number.
Guys, remember both Carmine and Buster have 5% plays for tonight. They're regularly priced at $40 each. That we're not tweeting out, we're not emailing out, we're not texting out. This promo code is solely for our Puck Time listeners and our listeners from the Betting Edge. $25 off of each of their plays. Buster 15, Carm 15. Use it at wagertalk.com. Dave, this game fascinates me. The Winnipeg Jets. I mean, this team has just really played great hockey the last 15 or so games. They just beat Dallas, and I regretfully played Dallas that night, although I went 1-1 that night. Winnipeg beat them 5-1. They've won 4 of their last 5 games, and Dallas finds themselves in a slump. They've lost 4 in a row, and also their last 2 games were road games, so they're on that dreaded back at home for their first game moment. You know, you've got a rapid revenge factor in play with Winnipeg just beating Dallas 2 nights ago. But I don't know if we could take Dallas here. It's a tough spot. They're not playing well, and they're back from a road trip. What do you like in this game?
Well, I had Winnipeg against the Stars, so that worked out really well for me. The Jets dominated that game. They did. Patrick Laine provided a little bulletin board material after the game. He has owned the Dallas Stars. He's put up spectacular numbers against them ever since he came into the league. And he commented after the game that basically, to paraphrase what he said, he wishes he could play Dallas every game. So I think the Stars might have a little reason to try and convince him otherwise tonight. Quick turnaround. I think Dallas gets him tonight. It's not going to make my card, though, because the fact is the Stars have been bad off a loss this season. They've been a very streaky team. They started off horribly, where their offense couldn't get anything going. And then they're never going to be a big offensive team. Then they got really hot, playing great at both ends. And now they've cooled off again. And I don't like the idea of laying a price with Dallas off a loss. But it's a quick turnaround revenge, and I don't like playing against the team that just lost and then gets to go home and try and beat the team. And the thing is, it was a lopsided game. You know, if it was one of those 3-2 games where, well, they just happen to be on the wrong side of it. To me, the revenge factor isn't as much in a game like that. They got walloped at Winnipeg. I mean, this was a 5-1 game, and it was that one-sided. I think Dallas really wants to atone for that here. So I kind of lean Stars in this one, but again, off a loss, I really don't want to lay a price with them.
Carm, I mean, if I'm going to bet this game, and again, I don't have to, I'd probably look at the over, 5.5 on tap. You know, minus 160 for Dallas, the way they're playing right now is just absolutely no chance I'm going to bet that. But I can see 6 or 7 goals scored here, and I know that Dallas is going to come out flying. I wouldn't be against taking Dallas in the first period and the over in the first period as well. What do you like?
Yeah, typically these home and homes, you see the teams split out. Sometimes you don't. In the case of, like, let's say, I think it was Nashville and St. Louis, where I think Nashville won them both, but so obviously he wasn't in net for that 5-1. And I'm not really concerned about the travel aspect here, because both teams are traveling from Winnipeg. It was only a 2-game trip for the Stars, 2-game road trip. So, you know, I mean, neither team has played since the 3rd, which was Monday, I guess it was. So
Tuesday
or Tuesday. So Tuesday. I don't think travel wise, it's not similar to one of those ones where a team's returning home off a 4 or 5 game road trip.
Yep.
And that's, so it helps in that sense. I would look at, because I don't want to lay the 160 with Dallas. I would take the regulation line of Dallas minus 115 here.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that bet at all. Guys, I have a 5% play up for Sunday in the NFL. I won my 5% play last Sunday. Half price to everybody. Prez NFL 20. Prez NFL 20. Use that code at wagertalk.com. Dave, this Montreal game is very interesting because this Montreal team really hasn't been playing well of late, and
no, I guess not.
Yeah, well, they beat the New York Islanders 2 nights.
I know, but they lost 8 in a row before that.
Yeah, but I said they were going to beat the Islanders. I thought it was a bad spot for the Islanders, and all the talk coming out of Montreal was, I felt like they were going to give their best effort of the season, and we saw that. And ultimately, it really begs the question. Do they then use that New York Islanders win as a launching pad to play better hockey? They got a real tough team to play against tonight. Colorado might be, and they have so many injuries, and they still might be a top 3-4 team in the league. They beat the Leafs last night. They put up 7 against Chicago. And one thing about Colorado, they can beat you 2-1. They can beat you 7-4. They can play any style of game. But you have a semi-rested Montreal team waiting for a Colorado team that just played last night. Does Montreal continue winning after their one win, or did they just put so much effort in against the Islanders that they're going to come out flat tonight?
No, they're not going to come out flat. The team lost 8 in a row and just got a win, so they're going to be feeling good about that. I had a big circle around Montreal here, but this is why you wait until the morning to get the info, because it might not flip me to the other side, but it certainly got me off the game. So this is not a good spot for Colorado. They're coming off that was a big win last night against Toronto, because it was a big revenge. I had the Avalanche last night. I was very happy with that result. You could argue Toronto played the better game.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about this game.
Well, I will. Grubauer was tremendous. And look, there was a power play goal for Colorado where McKinnon somehow got left open in the slot, and that's the end of that. And then a screw up on a power play where 2 Toronto guys basically ran into each other, and they got a breakaway for a shorthanded goal. But Grubauer was great. Now tonight you get the backup in goal, but he's been good lately. Landeskog is going to play tonight for Colorado, so they're almost back to full health, and they're the best 5-on-5 team in the league right now. They're like plus 24 or 25 and 5-on-5. That's really good. It's still a flat spot though, potentially, because they're coming out of the Toronto game and they've got the Boston Bruins rematch coming up. So this is a little bit of a sandwich. And I had Montreal circled here. It's like, oh, good, this is a spot where I want to play them off a win. They'll have a little positive momentum. They might be catching Colorado just right. And then I disagree with this move on the part of the coach. They want to play Price against the Eastern Conference opponent the next game, so they're going to go with the backup. And they waived Kincaid, which means they're calling up Caden Primo for his first ever NHL start. Boy, I don't know that I want to put Primo in for his NHL debut against a really high-powered team like Colorado. And I looked at Primo in his last 3 starts down on the AHL farm. 4 goals against, 5 goals against, and 5 goals against. This is a lot of pressure for a 20-year-old kid. So what was a circled spot for me on Montreal is now a pass.
The real key, I think you said it was that you don't agree with this move, and
no, I'd play Price.
Well, and I'll tell you my thoughts. You mentioned you don't agree. There's too much pressure on this kid. Blah blah blah. For me, the problem I have with this move is you lose 8 games in a row. You finally win a hockey game. You got a team on a back-to-back. A team that's in a sandwich game. And you put in your backup. It's time for Montreal to put some wins together. They send out this no-name kid, and they lose tonight, and the win against the New York Islanders is all but forgotten. Absolutely baffling decision by Claude Julien. Carmine, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, it's the same, along the same lines as what Dave talked about. I don't understand the coaching decision here. Maybe from, looking from the outside in, you can take the approach that, well, you want to get Primo in there at home with his parents and the crowd behind him, and maybe pulls off some fantastic performance tonight against this high-flying Avalanche thing. But I looked at his stats as well too this morning. He plays for the Laval Rockets, and yeah, he's been lit up. He was good before that.
Yeah.
He's like 7-4-1, I believe, and like a 2.5, I think, 2.53 or 2.58 goals against average. But when you look at what he's done the last 3 games, he hasn't looked good. I don't understand why you wouldn't use Price in this spot. I just don't. Honestly, I don't get it. And I look at it. They lost 8 in a row. You've got to start to. You can't look at this as a throwaway game. There are no throwaway games when you've lost 8 in a row, and you're trying to put some wins together. As far as the Avalanche go, travel wise, it doesn't bother me that they're playing back to back, because they've been managing their team this year with their travel, with everything from morning skates to when they leave to get to a new city. They're doing so many different things. As Dave said, Landeskog will be in the lineup tonight. They sent Logan O'Connor back to the Colorado Eagles. They signed him back, so obviously clearing that spot for Landeskog. Burackowski may or may not be in the lineup tonight. Don't know that yet, but both travel with the team with an eye on both guys playing on this road trip. They didn't play last night, and I think they finish off against the Bruins, I believe, right? As Dave was saying, I would rather get them in there tonight than to get them in against Boston, to be honest with you, because the Boston is such a bruising team that when you're talking about guys with upper body injuries, one of them had upper body, the other guy was lower body. You don't want these guys taking hits and being back out of the lineup. For me, it's Colorado here. I understand it's a back-to-back, but the way they're managing the team and with these guys back in the lineup, the only advantage I see Montreal having here is obviously having the last change, where they can try and get their best defensive lineup out there when it's McKinnon and Landeskog out there.
He's Carmine Bianco, Dave Cokin with us. I'm the Prez, Lawrence Presman. All of us are at wagertalk.com. And just a real quick heads up, Dave, Teddy, and I do a college football show every week. This past Tuesday's show went a little bit off the rail.
Yes, it did.
That would be an understatement. I mean, if you guys want to see some entertainment, 3 grumpy old men yell at each other, check that out. But let it be known that Dave and I and Teddy all do love and respect each other. We're just we get a little testy. We're gamblers, and we have mood swings. But Dave, Teddy, and I have decided that we're going to not do a college football show this coming week. We're going to do the Bull show on the 17th of December. And the funny part about that, Dave, is my plane lands at 12:30 p.m. on the 17th of December, and then I leave at 8 a.m. on the 18th of December. So we're going to have to figure out a time to do that show, but it won't be at our regular time slot because I will be landing from an all-night plane from Zurich, Switzerland. Boys, let's go through the last minute of play real quick. Boston hosting Chicago. Jesus, man. I mean, the tale of two teams here. This Boston team is unstoppable, but Dave, they're minus 225. I cannot, and it's probably a bad spot for Boston too, with Colorado up next. I can't take Boston in this game.
No, this was a quick cross out. I don't want Chicago, and I'm not laying that kind of a price with the Bruins having a much bigger game up next.
Carm?
Yeah, the same here. I can't lay the 225. Even the regulation line is too high for me to lay here. And until I see anything out of Chicago, there's no way I could ever back them as a dog.
Minnesota's a big dog, plus 190 going into Tampa Bay. Minnesota's playing good hockey, Dave. Are they live tonight?
I mean, what are they, 9 straight games with at least 1 point? I don't think I want to lay a price against them. And I still don't trust Stalock, and I still don't trust the team. And Tampa at least got a win last time out. But the Lightning are not playing at a level that would allow you to even really consider laying more than 2 to 1. So, I guess if I had to play it, I might take a wild shot with the Wild, but I'm not going to do it.
A pun from Dave Cokin. Carm?
Wasn't very good. I apologize for that.
It's still pretty good. We'll take that one. Pretty much the same thing. Wild are playing well. We talked about when the Wild played Florida a couple days ago. If the Wild could get Florida to play their type of game, it would stay under the total. It did. It stayed under 6.5. So I was happy to win that one, although it was a 4-2 final. And the Wild were down in that game as well too, 2-0, and scored 4.
You know what's interesting on Minnesota is this kid they brought up in goal. He's pretty good, and I think you wonder if the number one who's hurt right now, Dubnyk, he might be trade. He might be trade material at this point.
Well, we'll find that out. I mean, it depends really where Minnesota is sitting.
Why not? I mean, if Minnesota falls out of the race, then they'll. I'm not talking right now, but I'm talking at the deadline. If they fall out of the race, he becomes the guy they can.
Good point.
I honestly thought. I know they have no. Again, I keep throwing this back to the Prez in this sense, but I always thought that if the Leafs could somehow find some cap space by moving someone, that Stalock would make a good backup in Toronto. He'd at least get him some points. Definitely sure. But no, I'm leaning under here in this game. I think 2 good goalies, Stalock and Vasilevsky. It's another one of those ones where Mini's going to try and enforce their type of game on the Lightning. And the Lightning are perfectly fine winning these 3-2 games. So it wouldn't put it past me for this one to be another one of those 3-2 type games.
And the Lightning, I mean, 5-on-5 are not lighting it up right now. I mean, you keep them out of that penalty box, and they're not going to, you keep them out of, you keep yourself out of the penalty box, and you're going to hold this team down. Real quick, guys, because I'm starving. Carolina minus 157 against San Jose, a total of 6.5. I'd likely lean on the under in this game. I'm not. This is a pass for me, Dave.
Considering San Jose, I mean, the team's 11-3 in their last 14 games, and they're getting this kind of a price. It's San Jose or pass.
Carm?
I've been watching the line. I was kind of hoping that it would drop lower than where it is. I can't lay $1.50 with Hurricanes. If they were like $1.40, believe it or not, 10 cents makes all the difference. I would take them. I've got a different kind of play in this one, and it's the first period over in this game. It's at some books it's 1.5. You have to lay juice, but at other books it's 2 plus 110.
Guys, Alex and Andrew are on the show tomorrow. Make sure to check that out. And also, speaking of checking things out, I just finished the first season of Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. Carm, I know you watch a lot of these shows. It was one of the. It was a 10 out of 10. I mean, it was an absolute brilliant season. Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. Columbus minus 141 against the Rangers. I can't take Columbus as a favorite at all at any time. I don't like the Rangers. Dave, I'm passing on this game.
So am I. I have nothing in this
Carm?
I think the Rangers with George Evan net are a live dog here. So I'm going to take the plus 120. I could never lay a price with Columbus at all this year. So I'm willing to take the 120 here with the Rangers.
I'm having a shawarma today for lunch, in case any of you guys care. Calgary versus Buffalo. Dave, I like the over here, man. You know, we've spoken about Calgary. You talk about them not being a fast team. They do have some fast players. And Buffalo can score too. 5.5 seems low for me. This is one of my favorite plays on the card.
Well, Flames are 1-0 under their new interim coach. And Peters was a different situation than Babcock, who just had to go in Toronto. Peters is basically gone for past transgressions, if you will. But I still don't think he was connecting with this team, and I think they might be better off without him at this point. Get some younger blood behind the bench, and assistant coaches frequently get along better with the players anyway. So I think you could see a little bit of a spark out of Calgary, and kind of interested to see who's in goal for Buffalo in this game. If it's Carter,
that's what it says now.
No, it's Allmark. Allmark is.
Oh, yes, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I was hoping it would be Hutton. The Sabres have lost 8 straight when Hutton's in goal. I'd still lean Calgary in the game. It's a little pricey, so this might be a -1.
Dave Cokin, thanks so much for joining us, man. We only have you on.
Does Carmine?
He's not going to ask the Sabre fan who he likes tonight, but I'm going to tell you I've seen an uptick in the way the Sabres are playing, and the fact that Allmark is in net tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Sabres plus 140. They won their last couple trips to Calgary. They just played and lost an OT game to Calgary in Buffalo. Listen.
We're listening.
At the end of the season, listen. I think someone commented that we
red card.
Listen anymore. But I don't expect the Sabres to make the playoffs this year, and I don't think that's a huge stretch making a statement like that. But they're on a bit of a roll right now. They picked up they have 2 wins in their last 4, but picking up points in all 4. One of those wins were against the Leafs, and then the overtime loss to the Leafs. I could see them completely going to Calgary, and just until the Flames get rolling, they're still a team that can lose at home and can be beat at home. So I don't mind taking the Sabres at $1.40. I'm actually putting that up as a free play on the Wager Talk site after the show.
Guys, we got to call this a show. I'm the Prez, Dave Cokin with us. He's on Puck Time every single Thursday. Carmine Bianco with us. He's on Puck Time. Well, every time Alex or Andrew can't make Puck Time, which is about 3 times a week. Great show, outstanding stuff. Carm, best of luck on your 5% play tonight. And Dave, continue your NHL run. A real pleasure, boys. We'll see you next week.
Later, boys.
What's the